beloveds. I have most of my voice today. And so it is May 1st. I'm done with my 365s. I've done 4 of them. I don't have a new thought shit 365 to go to next. So I have opted to do something that everybody should do once in a while. I am going to read The Science of Mind, the textbook, cover to cover. I say that, but it actually starts on page 25. Because there's a foreword, and then there's how to read it in a year, and then there's, contents. It is a very, very thick book. And effectively what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read as far as I can in about 10 minutes. I may or may not have anything to say after it. We will see. But this way we can read through the Science of Mind text. And if there's ever time that, you just wanted to listen to it in order, because I'm not going to do the read it in a year. He does that. You have to flip back and forth. I'm just going to start at chapter 1 and go that way. Or literally. So it's The Science of Mind, and it says a philosophy, a faith, a way of life. It does not say it's a religion. I just thought that was interesting. So we are going to start with what he calls the introduction. The introduction is 4 parts: the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. So we are going to do the thing itself today. All right. And if you've looked at the textbook, so like you'll have this is the big thing, and then he'll break it down and give you like little, so I'll try and read those too. So, the thing itself. We all look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible. Science knows nothing of opinion, but recognizes a government of law whose principles are universal. Yet any scientist who refuses to accept intangible values has no adequate basis for the values which they have already discovered. Revelation must keep faith with reason and religion with law. While intuition is ever spreading its wings for greater flights, and science must justify faith in the invisible. To suppose that the creative intelligence of the universe should create people in bondage and leave them bound would be to dishonor the creative power which we call God. To suppose that God could make people as an individual without leaving them to discover themselves would be to suppose an improbability. Individuality must be spontaneous. It can never be automatic. The seed of freedom must be planted in the innermost being of people. But, like the prodigal son, people must make the great discovery for themselves. We see abundance in the universe. We cannot count the grains of sand upon a single beach. The earth contains untold riches, and the very air is vibrant with power. Why then are people weak, poor, and afraid? The Science of Mind deals with these questions. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. All instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law. Thus, the inherent nature of people is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. We do well to listen to this inner voice, for it tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves. But the great love of the universe must be one with the great law of its own being, and we approach love through the law. This, then, is the teaching of love and law. As the love of God is perfect, so the law of God also is perfect. We must understand both. Whatever the nature of any principle may be, insofar as it is understood by anyone, it may be understood by all who take the time to investigate. This does not require an unusual degree of intelligence, but rather a practical application of what we now know in order that we may increase our knowledge. The study of the science of mind is a study of first cause, spirit, mind, or that invisible essence, the ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of creation, the thing itself. We accept this thing and believe in it. What we deserve is to know more about it and how to use it. From proof alone, we know that we are dealing with a definite principle. If one, through the conscious use of their knowledge, can produce a certain result, they must know with what they are dealing. It may seem as though in dealing with metaphysics, we are dealing with something that is too abstract. But what is tangible other than results? Principles are forever hidden from our eyes. We can accept the deductions of science insofar as they are proved, and we recognize that they are built upon immutable but invisible principles. The universe never plays favorites. We are so used to the thought that if we mix certain colors, we get certain other colors, that we do not realize that we are dealing with a principle. We know that whomever blends these particular colors will get the same result, but we do not know why. The wisest person living does not know why. We do not have to stretch our credulity anymore in metaphysics. We think of metaphysics perhaps as something that only the most profound thinkers have known about. But we should remember that we are thinkers. The profound thought of all ages has stood in awe of life itself, realizing that here is a power and potentiality, the highest possibilities of which the human intellect cannot fathom. Universal principles are never respecters of persons. The universe has no favorites. Therefore, it is written, and let them that is athirst come, and whosoever will, let them take the water of life freely. Revelations 22:17. Nothing supernatural about the study of life. Let us then approach the science of mind, the science of spiritual psychology, with awe, but not with fear, with truly a humble thought, but not with a sense that we are unworthy. Let us approach it normally, happily, willing to accept, glad to experiment, hoping and believing that as the result of our efforts, we shall each derive a great good, a sound understanding of the natural law of life, as they apply to the individual and their relationship to the whole universal scheme of things. This is the simple meaning of true metaphysical teaching, the study of life and the nature of law, governed and directed by thought, always conscious that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in, through, around, and for us. There is nothing supernatural about the study of life from the metaphysical viewpoint. That which today seems to us supernatural, after it is thoroughly understood, will be found spontaneously natural. We all know that many have been healed of physical disease through prayer. Let us analyze this. Why are some healed through prayer while others are not? Can we believe that there is a God who picks some person and says, I will honor your prayer, but I do not think as so much of Mr. So-and-so? It is superstitious to believe that God will answer the prayer of one above another. Jesus said that God maketh his sun rise on the evil and the good, and sendeth rain on the just and the unjust. And that's Matthew 5:45. Since some people have been healed through prayer, while others have not, the answer is not that God has responded to some and not to others, but that some have responded to God more than others. Their prayer, their thought, has responded by corresponding. The answer to prayer is in the prayer. But what is a prayer? A prayer is a movement of thought within the mind of the one praying along a definite line of meditation that is for a specific purpose. What is the mind? No person living knows. We know a great deal about the mind, but not what it is. By mind, we mean consciousness. We are now using it. We cannot locate it. We cannot locate mind in the body. For while the body is a necessary vehicle for consciousness, while we are here, it is not consciousness. We cannot isolate mind. All we know about it is not what it is, but what it does. And the greatest philosopher who ever lived knows no more than this, except that they may tell us more of how it works. There are not two minds, only two names. Mind, the thing, spirit, causation, is beyond and yet not beyond our grasp. Beyond in that it is so big, within, in that with wherever we grasp it, we are it, to the extent that that we grasp it. But since it is infinite, we can never encompass it. We shall never encompass God, and yet we shall always be in God and of God. Mind comes under two classifications. There are not two minds, but rather two names employed in describing states of consciousness. The objective, or conscious, and the subjective, or unconscious. We think of the conscious state as our conscious use of mind. The subconscious, or subjective state of mind, sometimes called the unconscious state, is that part of mind which is set in motion as a creative thing by the conscious state. In the body of this textbook, under the heading of subjective mind, we say, in the subjective mind of people, we find a law obeying their word, the servant of their spirit. Suggestion has proved that the subconscious mind acts upon our thoughts. It is the mental law of our being and the creative factor within us. It is unnecessary at this point to go into all of the details of the subjective mind and its mode of action. It is enough to say that within us is a mental law working with the will and purpose of our conscious thoughts. This can be no other than our individual use of that greater subjective mind, which is the seat of all mental law and action, and it is the servant of the eternal spirit throughout the ages. And I'm stopping there. So what we will do is we will pick up tomorrow at Limitless Power at People's Disposal on page 29. Limitless Power at People's Disposal is where I'm starting in the thing itself, in the Science of Mind text. Marvelous as the concept may be, it is nonetheless true that people have at their disposal, in what they call their subjective mind, a power that seems to be limitless. This is because they are one with the whole of the subjective side of life. People's thoughts falling into their subjective mind, merge with the universal subjective mind and become the law of their life, through the one great law of all life. There is not two subjective minds, there is but one subjective mind. And what we call our subjective mind is really the use we are making of the one law. Each individual maintains their identity in law through their personal use of it, and each is drawing from life what they think into it. To learn how to think is to learn how to live, for our thoughts go into a medium that is infinite in its ability to do and to be. People, by thinking, can bring into their experience whatsoever they desire, if they think correctly, and become a living embodiment of their thoughts. This is not done by holding thoughts, but by knowing the truth. Within us, then, there is a creative field which we call the subjective mind. Around us, there is a creative field that we call subjective. One is universal and the other is individual. But in reality, they are one. There is one mental law in the universe, and where we use it, it becomes our law because we have individualized it. It is impossible to plumb the depths of the individual mind, because the individual mind is really not individual, but is individualized. Behind the individual is the universal, which has no limits. In this concept alone lies the possibility of eternal and endless expansion. Everyone is universal on the subjective side of life, and an individual only at the point of conscious perception. The riddle is solved, and we may all use the creative power of the universal mind every time we use our own mind. All thought is creative. Since this is true, it follows that we cannot say that one thought is creative while another is not. We must say that all thought is creative, according to the nature, impulse, emotion, or conviction behind the thought. Thought creates a mold in the subjective in which the idea is accepted and poured, and sets power in motion in accordance with thought. Ignorance of this excuses no one from the effects, for we are dealing with law and not with whimsical fancy. The conscious mind is superior to the subjective and may consciously use it. Great as the subconscious is, its tendency is set in motion by the conscious thought, and in this possibility lies the path to freedom. The karmic law is not kismet. It is not fate, but cause and effect. It is a taskmaster to the unwise, a servant to the wise. The road to freedom is not mysterious. Experience has taught us that the subjective tendency of this intelligent law of creative force may consciously be directed and definitely used. This is the greatest discovery of all time. There is no mystery here, but a profound fact and a demonstrable one. The road to freedom lies not through mysteries or occult performances, but through the intelligent use of nature's forces and laws. The law of mind is a natural law in the spiritual world. But what do we mean by the spiritual world? We mean the world of conscious intelligence. The subjective is a world of law and of mechanical order in our lives. It is largely a reaction, an effect, a way. It is never a person, though it often appears to act as though it were one. Right here are many completely misled, mistaking subjective impulses for actual personalities. This, however, is a field of investigation not fully to be considered here. The simplest way to state the proposition is to say that we have a conscious mind that operates within a subjective field, which is creative. The conscious mind is spirit. The subjective mind is law. One is complement of the other, and no real individuality could be expressed without a combination of both. No person has ever plumbed the depths of either the conscious or the subconscious life. In both directions, we reach out to infinity, and since we cannot encompass infinity, we shall always be expanding and always enlarging our capacity to know and to experience. We need not ask why these things are so. There can be no reason given as to why the truth is true. We do not create laws and principles, but discover and make use of them. Let us accept this position relative to the laws of mind and spirit and see what we can do with them, rather than how we may contradict the inevitable. Our mind and spirit is our echo of the eternal thing itself, and the sooner we discover this fact, the sooner we shall be made free and happy. The universe is filled with spirit and filled with law. One reacts to the other. We are spirit and we are law. The law of our life reacts to our spirit or material concepts and builds and rebuilds according to our beliefs and faiths. Learning to trust will make us happy. All people seek some relationship to the universal mind, the oversoul, or the eternal spirit, which we call God. The life reveals itself to whomever is receptive to it, that we are living in a spiritual universe, which includes material or physical universe, has been a conclusion of the deepest thinkers of every age. That this spiritual universe must be one of pure intelligence and perfect life, dominated by love, by reason, and by the power to create, seems an inevitable conclusion. There is a power in the universe that honors our faith in it. There is a law in the universe which extracts the utmost farthing. We all wish to feel that the power behind everything is good as well as creative, an eternal and changeless intelligence in which people live, move, and have their being. Intuitively, we sense that every person in their native state is some part or manifestation of this eternal principle, and that the entire problem of limitation, evil, suffering, and uncertainty is not God ordained, but is the result of ignorance. It has been written that the truth shall make us free, provided we know the truth, and we note that the evolution of people's consciousness brings with it the acquisition of new powers and higher possibilities. We find ourselves torn by confusion, by conflict, by affirmation and denial, by emotion congested by fear, congealed by pride. We are afraid of the universe in which we live, suspicious of the people around us, uncertain of salvation of our own souls. All these things negatively react and cause physical disorders. Nature seems to await our comprehension of her, and since she is governed by immutable laws, the ignorance of which excuses no person from their effects, the bondage of humanity must be a result of our ignorance of the true nature of reality. The storehouse of nature may be filled with good, but this good is locked to the ignorant. The key to this door is held in the mind of intelligence, working in accordance with universal law. Through experience, people learn what is really good and satisfying, what is truly worthwhile. As their intelligence increases and their capacity to understand the subtle laws of nature grow, they will gradually be set free. As they learn the truth will automatically free them. When we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. We must learn to come under the divine government and accept the fact that nature's table is ever filled. Never was there a cosmic famine. The finite alone has wrought and suffered. The infinite has stretched in smiling repose. Side note, that's Emerson. God is always God. No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is the eternal voice forever whispering within our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. Divine nature is in every person. This is the thing itself. Briefly, let us recapitulate. There is that within every individual which partake of the nature of the universal wholeness, and insofar as it operates, is God. That is the meaning of the word Emmanuel, the meaning of the word Christ. There is that within us which partakes of the nature of the divine being, and since it partakes of the nature of the divine being, we are divine. It reacts to us according to our belief in it, and it is an immutable law subject to the use of the least among us, no respecter of persons. It cannot be bound. Our soul will never change or violate its own nature. All the denying of it will never change it. All the affirming of it will never make it any more than it is. But since it is what it is and works in the way it works, it appears to each through their belief. It is done unto each one of us as we believe. We will say, then, that in spirit, a person is one with God. But what of the great law of the universe? If we really are one with the whole, we must be one with the law of the whole as well as one with the spirit of the whole. If we try to find something difficult to grasp, then we shall never grasp it, because we shall always think of it as being incomprehensible. The mind which we discover within us is the mind that governs everything. This is the thing itself, and we should recognize its simplicity. And that is the thing itself. And we will start with the way it works tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow. Just programming note, let you know that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. If you want to know what's going on with the center, please feel free to email info@creativelife.org. That will get you on the constant contact, or you can go to creativelife.org. That is our website. And from there, there's a lot of information. So Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you tomorrow with more of the science of mind. We will get into how to use it. So have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day. A, go dance in the rain day. A, stay away from the lightning day. A, enjoy your rest day. A, take care of business day. A good day. If that's too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. Or as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are godly. All right, beloveds. Thank you very much. I will see you next time.